So there's this thing. Okay, I might as well make this official and start it properly. If I can pull my screen back up. Here it is. Okay, I am live and I have a viewer. And it's my best friend, but I have a viewer. So, good afternoon. This is Rob, and today I will be painting some paintings. I'm going to start by adding to my next series my current series that I'm doing for supporters of WBAI and Off the Hook, the radio show on which I work. And this is going to be a series of paintings on stretched canvases, like so, 5x7, of various data storage devices, just various means of storing data throughout history. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for all, I think, for the complete set of these, but I have a few that I'm going to start with. This is being broadcast from an undisclosed location, which is my my apartment in Queens, New York. And off in the corner is my friend Side Pocket, who is every so often grunting at his game of Splatoon. And also nearby is the person who lives in this apartment with me, my partner Gila. And so to start with, I have a nice bit of historical data storage right here. This is America Online for Windows version 2.5. If you were around 20 some odd years ago, you might have seen this stuck to the covers of magazines. And basically, these were actually high quality discs that they used because they were sending them through the mail and letting them be abused by postmen and that sort of thing. So the America Online company got decent quality discs as these things went. They were not really cheap or cheesy. So I used to get tons of these. And then you could just flip the little write protect tab on the 3.5-inch floppy, and it would change a read-only disk to one you could write to and reformat and stuff. And so I, at one point, ended up with pretty much a steady stream of these back in the 90s because I used and I used them to back up my computers and stuff at the time.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Echo, shut up. I'm also joined in this apartment by an intelligent hockey puck that works for Amazon. So I've got to figure out a way that, how I want to paint this, how I want to present it. I've got my workspace set up here. I've got a palette, a cup of water, some paintbrushes and such of all shapes and sizes, and a big old container of paint. So I think I'm going to see if I have any sort of beige and red, and maybe I'll paint this actual disc rather than just doing a sort of generic 3.5-inch floppy. I can paint an actual America Online disc. That might be kind of funny. So this canvas is pre-coated with black paint. You can get canvases that have been primed with white or black. I prefer painting with light paint on a dark background. It just feels better to me somehow. So I have some standard acrylic paint. This is an unbleached titanium color, which gives me the Bob Ross opportunity to say titanium white. And it makes the best noises when you're running out. is also a little bit stale, this this color, just in terms of the paint consistency. Maybe a bit of this. That's the sound of art right there. Bit of red. And kind of a deep yellow color, which is called deep yellow. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I should put some kind of music on. Something that won't get me bitten by YouTube. Yes. Oh, hello, this is a recording. Wonderful to see you, as always.
Oh, yay.
As an old friend pops up in the chat, who runs the site. This is a recording where phone recordings and related noises from telecom history are stored. Yes, which is at thisisarecording.com, I think is the site. Is that correct? Could you do me a favor and pass that waste basket over here, the one on the floor?
Like basketball style or like winter style? Wow, his hands.
Yeah, it's modern technology. Thank you. Okay. So yes, this is kind of a quiet broadcast, and what you can do when you're painting, I guess I'll maybe see if I can do a sort of tutorial angle to this too. And I'll share my expert techniques, like some kind of, I don't know. But this is a cup of just clean water for now. And if you're plotting around what you want to do, you can take a brush, just dip it in the water, and kind of sketch around a little bit, and it'll make a very temporary mark that will dry quickly, but you can use to kind of figure out what you want to do with your image. And if you've got this here, disc here, I say it'll dry very quickly. But it's a good way to just sort of sketch things out and make sure they're suitably centered or whatever you want to do. And I think this will, something like that will do nicely. Doesn't need to be perfect. Remember, we don't make mistakes. We make happy accidents.
Thanks, Ross.
So how did the pregnancy test out?
It turns out I'm not pregnant, but thank you for asking.
Yes. Just
I just had gas. Also snacks.
oh my god, it's snack.
Gassy snack?
Snack the planet.
And I'm using just a touch of white paint. Again, just starting off kind of sketchy, freehanding where the different sections on this item are.
It's kind of cathartic thing of watching him on TV while he's here in person.
And it was like going to a concert, like a big arena
And the
concert.
screen in there on stage.
Right,
Yeah.
and trying to remember to like watch the artist who's actually in the same room as you.
Yeah.
Well, if I don't get too distracted watching this show on the screen of me painting, then I can get my painting done. Otherwise, I'll just totally zone out.
Or maybe,
Is it just like super meta?
It's me watching me,
or
watching
maybe
me,
get more
watching
popular
me.
that will have Rob painting in concert.
Yeah,
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rent out Carnegie Hall like Florence Foster Jenkins, and just go on stage and just paint.
And I will be Anna Lee Ashford, and I will yell at anybody who tries to like.
Yeah, the groupies.
No, you have to be my Hugh Grant, dear.
We need to call them something.
You have to buy up all the newspapers so I don't see the terrible reviews.
I was gonna say I have so many questions about what it would mean if I was Hugh Grant in this. Like if I'm a Hugh Grant, does that mean you have syphilis?
What would we call our fan base that would watch that?
Paint heads.
Or
Paint heads.
I was thinking
Yummy,
of, like,
yummy paint heads. Paint heads, paint heads, eat them up, yum.
or like like the fly glows. I'm just trying to think of something Firefly related.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are fans of the other thing called Firefly, and I don't know if they have a name for themselves.
Yeah, they're called Unbridled Rage at every convention.
Because they don't they call themselves the brown shirts?
Possibly.
They're the brown coats. That's it. Yes,
Brown shirt meaning something radically different. Sorry. You'd think I'd know better.
Well, you're the expert, but somebody has to be, and it's not going to be me.
So do you
No,
think-
the brown coats are the ones who enjoy the Firefly show, which I have never really watched. I've seen an episode or two ages ago. A friend of mine tried to show it
posts in
to
your
me.
live stream.
Who did?
I said queuing hate posts in your live
Oh, yeah.
chat.
No, I'm thinking at some point in the future I'll watch it and I'll maybe get a podcast out of it or something, just like Firefly on Firefly,
And also fireflies.
and that'll be how I sort of break into the mainstream.
Go out and collect fireflies with like pins
Well,
and
look at the see the jar?
yeah. As they torture a puppy to death. I don't know if you heard that on camera, but if you didn't, you're not missing much.
Yeah, my neighbors have bouncy child humans. It's kind of cute.
So I'm guessing this code is like you pre-plan like this is the background, then you're gonna add on top of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I'm just getting the basic shape of this disc straightened out, then I'll make more passes with more detail.
Starting to film an episode of Radio Statler. So do you I could actually do that Radio Statler because we'll have the cam next time. Do you have like you're the only one that I know that expertly paints like electrical equipment. Do you know of any others that do this, or how did you become like the expert in this?
I don't know that I did anything to become an expert. I just sort of had the idea to start doing something. Like for those unfamiliar who may be watching, in the past I've done sets which you can see on robvincent.net or on my Tumblr, which is robtfirefly, all one word, .tumblr.com. And I did sets of old historical notable computers. I think that was the first set I did of this nature, and those were a little bigger. Those were, I think, 8x10s that I did, and this is 5x7. But after that, I did a set of notable telephones from telephone history. And so this set, I was talking with my partner Gila. about the past sets I've done and trying to figure out something that would fit in as the next step in this series of series. And it's actually Gila that came up with the idea to do data storage.
Thank you.
That's part of how I know I'm in the correct relationship. Because she not only
Many don't.
she not only supports my geekery, she contributes to it.
See, I feel like I have that with my girlfriend, but like in an evil way, where it's like just us playing like Fight Club levels of shenanigans. But what do you call it? If I remember correctly, didn't kind of the idea of you doing like drawing computer stuff for Off the Hook was it was something about like there wasn't enough like premium bonuses, so you like whipped out your notepad and started doodling phones, and they became really popular, so you like painted them the next round or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's not what sparked it. I was kind of already doing that. I did a stunt during Off the Hook where we had, I think, a 2-hour show. And this is some years ago. We were still in our old studio in Wall Street. And during the show, as the rest of the crew were talking and doing the show, I was, as a stunt, just not painting, just drawing live. And I drew sketches of just different telephones just off the top of my head and these various Off the Hook logo type things going on. And that was fun. I'd never done anything like that before, but I think I had already done the paintings at that point. I had already done the first set of paintings. Really, it was because the paintings were something that I was doing anyway, and I just wanted to do it as part of my random pursuits of art projects. And I realized because we were doing the show and the fundraiser was coming up, like it would be a way for me to contribute to the fundraising efforts. I had no idea if it would be any kind of successful, because it's like, here's our radio show about hacker stuff. And if you're not familiar with the show, you can look it up on Wikipedia. It's called Off the Hook.
Not to be confused with the Splatoon 2 band Off the Hook. Apparently, that's confusion now.
But yeah, so here's this radio show with a bunch of hackers talking about current world events and technological developments and things. And they're like, hey, art and paintings. But the listenership were surprisingly supportive, and the project was a success. You can see those paintings again on robvincent.net, although they're all in the hands of the private collectors who were contributors to that round of fundraising. And that just became a thing, like, because this isn't something I just do for the show. I do have something of an art career going, but it's a way in which it's not only, it's good because it's an excuse for me to paint things. And many artists, I think, struggle with just like a blank canvas in front of them and like, what am I going to do? But now it's sort of a nice prepackaged like reason to get up off my lazy ass and paint something. And it's also just, it supports the station, which keeps our show going. And I really appreciate the show's place in my life. And yeah, it all sort of intertwines together nicely. So while I'm doing this,
That is a light square.
It is a light square. It's actually, I don't know if you can see the sort of shading that's going on camera, except unless I bring it closer like this.
Yeah, you already have the two tones for the top and bottom.
Yeah, because it's sort of very high contrast stuff going on. So
how do you achieve those tones? Do you use the same color, it's just different layers, or?
Yeah, it's just because this paint, this particular shade is good for it, where you can paint onto black and it'll be, if you paint with a thin layer, it'll be darker, and if you paint multiple layers or just a thicker layer, it'll be lighter. So I can get some kind of texture and consistency going on with just by painting one color. And yeah, we're lit by natural light here, so yeah, there it goes.
So why oils instead of other types of paints?
These are acrylics. They're not
Oh,
oils.
acrylics. Okay.
And I like it because, pardon me, taking a drink.
Breathe away from the microphone.
I turn away from the mic to breathe in. Yes.
But
chocolate paint. But I like acrylics for this because they're really bright and high contrast and easy to manipulate. It also dries very quickly, which for the style of painting that I'm doing on these is a plus. It's not a plus for every style, and I wanna do some more stuff with oils, but not this set. So,
Thank you.
bless you.
Thank you.
let's see yours.
I'm busting out a little green paint because this is all sort of drying as I'm doing this. Like I could touch this right now and not screw it up too much, but while the beige of the main body of the disc dries, I can take another brush and start playing with the background a little bit.
It's like the second time I've watched you paint. The first time was in your old apartment where you had it was a series 1 or series 2 of like the important computer figures.
Yeah, the series of historical hackers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forgot you were at my place when I was doing some of those.
Yeah, I know. That's how notoriety I am that he doesn't even remember.
And what I'm doing here is I dip the brush in the water, and without shaking it completely dry, just get a little touch of this
green paint that's off camera.
Oh, thank you both, by
this
the way.
bright green
I appreciate it. Sorry, just reading the comments. Thank you.
And so I'm I have a wet brush, and I picked up a touch of the green acrylic, and so I'm just kind of smooshing it around and getting a little texture going here. Okay. And when it dries, it'll be sort of speckly, like a composition notebook. The traditional freckle book, as we used to call them in grade school.
It was kind of nice because when I was living with you for that week, it was like a lot of people like didn't know if those paintings were real or not, so I got to confirm that for people. And now he actually does these things.
How can paintings be real when our paintbrushes aren't real?
What is painting? How do you define painting?
Yeah. And using a wet brush for this, it puddles up a little of the water on the canvas, but as shown earlier, that dries quickly and leaves the paint behind in just sort of a nice and interesting pattern.
It's interesting to watch you work small scale because I think the most impressive thing I saw you did was, because she's in chat right now, the collab you did with Gray Frequency during the Last Hope with those giant murals was like out of this world.
Ah, yes.
So some of the biggest paintings I've ever seen. That's like I actually know the person that did that.
Yeah, Gray, who
I helped sell those.
yeah, Gray, who is in the chat right now, was my collaborator on these large paintings that we did for the Last Hope, which were hanging behind all the stages, and they were multiple canvases with sort of frames that we MacGyvered together out of stuff from Home Depot, and they were made up to look like windows, basically looking out on these landscapes. And we did that in the basement of my old place when I used to live on Long Island, and it was a lot of fun to do. It was also kind of stressful. Our friendship did ultimately survive, but it was great because we did these paintings, and they were pretty massive. Like I don't even remember the measurements of these things, but they were big, and they were multiple. I think the largest canvases I could get from the art supply store.
Gray Frequency just said, I still can't believe Rob T Firefly put up with my craziness for the Last Hope paint project.
we were putting up with each other's craziness, but luckily we're very old friends who've got a storied history of putting up with each other's craziness.
Is paint project for which we have sort of the outtakes hanging up in our apartment?
Yes, we have one canvas that we were. Yeah, we have one canvas that we were using as just sort of a scratch pad to try out different techniques and ways of drawing things.
Yeah, that looks like an insane asylum painting.
And that was a canvas that actually I think Gray's mom had just stashed somewhere. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gray, but like it was basically our scratch pad, and so it has like little pieces of leaves and trunks because we were doing a lot of trees and tree trunks and sort of landscapey stuff, sunsets and sunrises and that sort of thing. And when the project was done, the scratch pad was actually really cool looking, and so I kept it, and I've had it on my wall ever since. And if you didn't know the backstory, you would come in and think that's just another painting because it's a nice piece of art.
And then you told me the story, and I liked it even more.
How much, because especially since you're painting a lot from real life, how much like playfulness versus like representative accuracy do you put into these paintings? What's the ratio? I'm asking all the hard ones.
You're great, man.
That's why I work in radio. For the hope.
Yeah. I wouldn't know anything about working in radio, but no, I mean, for stuff like this, like when I did that series of portraits of people, and they were notable people from hacker history. I got to play a little more with realism versus like cartoonishness or expressionism, or however you want to.
Art school terms.
Yeah. If I ever get around to going to art school, that'll look good on my tests. But no, it was like there's more leeway, I think, when you're painting stuff, because I mean, you know, you can do a hyper realistic picture of a computer disk, or you could do sort of a cartoony caricature of a computer disk, or like when I did the old computers, and some of them were, I think what I would classify as caricatures of the hardware rather than sort of photorealistic depictions. But I think also when working sort of small like this, you have less space to work with, which is helpful, I think, in terms of creativity, because you have to work in different ways to get the effect of what it is you want to portray. Like, I have some fine tipped brushes here, but still there's only so many small details I'm going to get down to. And so you look for ways to kind of generally portray something. What I'm doing now is I'm painting around the edges, just continuing the background. You can't see that on camera, I don't think. But I like these to, when I do painting, some artists just, you know, will do the front, or they'll do like an area in the middle of the canvas and leave the corners blank, or things like that. But I like it to be something that would look interesting even if you hung it up on the wall without a frame. And so I like to go all the way around.
I know that one interesting technique that author painter Clive Barker does is he also paints on ridiculously big canvases, but he on purpose paints over conflicting layers at different times, so they dry layered, and then he has like these steak knives that he's had forever, and he carves them back so one, the layers expose each other, and two, it adds this, like, that's how he gets that rough texture look in his paintings. They're oils, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
and there are things you can do with oils that you can't really do with acrylics because they dry too fast, but then the reverse is also true. Like, because acrylics dry so fast, I can layer things on top of other things in different ways without sort of worrying about the paint mixing. When you paint in oils, everything is basically wet when you're painting them, because they take a long time to dry, and so that means you can still on the canvas be mixing things with other things and stretch things back over, like, and just continue to adjust things in ways you can't really do with acrylics.
I want to invite you over the next Easter next year so I can watch you go on town on the eggs, because I've introduced that to like my roommate and his friends, because they've never done that and they all love it. So they do another live stream with just the eggs. It'd be very Polish of you to do that.
Excellent.
Because that's what they do there. They use wood eggs, and sometimes they use real eggs, and they do these ridiculously intricate paintings on them. Yeah.
And it's fun. It's like when I started using nail polish, I paint my pinky nail on one hand is all I do.
And they never shut up asking why you've done it.
Well, it's funny because I'll do these things like just make stripes or whatever patterns, and other people who are used to painting all their nails would be like, oh, I wish I had the time to do something like that. And it's like, well, that's because you do all 10. I tried painting all 10 of my nails once in stripes, and it was kind of disastrous. There was a huge mess all over the place. But yeah, having a tiny canvas to work on that only takes a small amount of time to do, kind of.
So would it be right to compare that these what size are these small canvases again?
These are 5 by 7 inches.
Would it be fair to say these 5 by 7s are kind of like your iPhone, and then your nail is kind of like the Apple Watch to the iPhone of the canvas?
I have no idea what the heck you're talking about.
I haven't done DEFCON for one yet because my laptop's being a beauty.
Yeah, catching up on the chat. This is a recording, and Gray have met, and they've mentioned that they met at DEFCON, I guess.
I guess because Brad never comes out to Hope,
Yeah.
so it had to be another convention.
Mm-hmm. And I am jealous, Gray, because I have still never managed to meet the proprietor of This Is a Recording in person,
I don't think so.
despite the fact that we've been hanging around online for years and years and years. And I think we've been on one or two of the same teleconferences over the years.
That's a lot of hacker things, especially back in the day, though. That's like still kind of common. It was super common like 10 plus years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is work on some more of the details of this. I need a thinner brush.
Don't fat shame your brushes.
Thank you, side pocket.
Oh, now my laptop wants to wake up, okay?
I know what I can do with this, actually.
At least your brushes do what you want them to do.
It has been known.
I'm convinced that my laptop was like Macaulay Culkin during the Home Alone years at one point in its life.
Okay, so I will we'll start, I think, just doing some of the red areas of this disc label. Just plot some of that out very lightly. As Side Pocket struggles with his laptop in the other corner of the room.
Fine all week, and then right now. Not even today, just right now.
Okay, so this is the area that will be red. I'll just clean the brush off on that a bit.
Okay, it's tweeted now. I can close this thing and have it attempt to charge. There's too much milkshake.
I drink your milkshake.
Brings all the girls to be right.
According to one of my lesbian friends, it doesn't work.
Your milkshake does not, in fact, bring all the boys to the yard?
Apparently hers does not.
Oh.
It does get you a lot of retweets on Twitter, but...
You okay, Gayla?
Yeah, I'm good.
I've noticed that your partner is kind of like Princess Leia's, where you're like, is she okay? And then meanwhile, she's like fought off an entire platoon of like pirates while you were gone and things like that.
I just hear noise coming from behind me. And
Hope it's not a Gru.
Here in a twisty maze of passages, all like.
It would be kind of cool, particularly with the data mediums, if you could like. It'd be interesting, like at a future convention, if you accidentally like run into like the graphic designers for like the sticker on the AOL thing, and they're like, never in a million years they probably never thought that someone would be like artistically painting this. It's like the soup can of our generation.
Oh my God, I'm Andy Warhol. Or maybe I just shot Andy Warhol, I can't remember. But, usually when you're painting and you want to sort of mix colors, you want to mix darker colors into light. And I'm going totally the other way right now.
It does work.
Right here, there's sort of a gradient where this label gets lighter. And so I'm going to see if I can spread that around in an appropriate manner. To a degree, you can mix darker into, I mean, you can mix on the canvas in acrylics. It's just tricky. All things being relative, as you know if you met my uncle.
All right, I'm in your household now. So I'm going to Oreos.
This broadcast is brought to you by chocolate cookies with white stuff in between them.
Do you think in the future you'll live stream building puppets?
Well, first I have to get back to building puppets. I've been away from puppetry for quite some time. My last regular puppetry gig lasted 6 years, and then I did a couple of other little things, but I've mostly put it aside right now. I've got other things I'm working on.
Watch out, Mr. Famous over here.
I just got a lot of projects in development. Yeah.
Well, I just realized you have a Tron light cycle that's green. I'm envious of you because it's green.
Yeah, I printed that on MakerBots when I worked there.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at the 3D printer company MakerBot back in their days as a scrappy open source startup. And
doesn't exist anymore.
That does not exist anymore. MakerBot is now a brand name on printers made in China that are closed source. But, you know, c'est la vie. It was not my ship to steer.
And if you were still doing that, you would have the luxury of being with an awesome partner painting on a live stream.
That is true.
So do you have any like tips and tricks when it comes to like different type of brush sizes for doing like different brush types and sizes for doing different things?
Well, right now these are mostly, I think, synthetic brushes that I'm using. I have a few natural hair ones that are made from. Yes. Yes, I sold my hair to a paintbrush company, and they got to keep it permanently. No,
Firefly collection of brushes.
These are mostly brushes that I've gotten in just assortments of brushes that have been packaged together, and yeah, I haven't really gone much deeper into the intricacies of. I mean, some painters get very sort of into the types of like like they develop brand loyalties and stuff about their brushes and just all these things. But I just grab stuff, and if it works, I use it, and if it doesn't, I get rid of it. I've gone a little beyond the border over here, but that's okay. I can extend the border. As I say, this was all sort of it just starts with sketchiness and sketchiness. Yeah, it's a really sketchy operation I'm running here. It starts sketchy, and then with each additional pass, just gets more details added and refined.
It's actually not too dissimilar from doing a coding project, where it starts off really like rudimentary, and then as you go on, it keeps getting more refined, something that humans would actually use.
Coding? Oh, coding.
Certain days, sometimes that's the same thing, but
You say coding, I say coding.
system is down. System up.
I could be playing music on this. If I found something that would not get me bitten by YouTube copyright restrictions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does that mean I should stop humming?
You own your humming, so it's fine. In fact, you may own humming in general. I'm not quite sure yet. Well,
That'd be an amazing find. It'd be like John's Caraway that owns like ketchup.
Yes, and I'm exerting.
right, you could be like those people who owned Happy Birthday for all those years, or claimed to own it before it was declared invalid.
That's beautiful weather, man.
If you want to open the other windows up, get some more ventilation going on in here.
And pigeons.
And well, you can leave the screens down, but if you wanted to open the other windows up, that would be cool.
It'd be up there because I'm perfectly fine right now. Our apartment is always 10 degrees warmer than it is outside for no freaking reason. So in the summer, in the winter, it's amazing. In the summer, not so much. Because I'll see it's 69, it feels like it's 80 degrees, and it's like,
Yeah,
I'm
so-
also okay for ventilation, but
Okay.
curious if you need more.
My own body generates about 10,000 BTUs per second.
like, wow. Maybe it could be worse. We could be in an elevator during hope.
Yes. You can just layer on some more of the beige in the areas I want to highlight here. I should see if I can maybe set up some sort of art happening at Hope. At this
Like
approaching
an
Hope.
art village. Like a proper art village.
Maybe not the village so much, but just like maybe do something in the fourth track or something, or up on the mezzanine. Just like have some kind of big pass around sketch pads and everyone can doodle. I don't know.
It could be like kind of Comic-Con has this thing where they bring in artists and they're like doing it on the floor, and other people come in and watch as it progresses.
Yeah, that makes
It'll
sense
be
for
like the butter
Comic-Con though.
sculptors at the state fair.
Oh yeah, like the butter sculptors at the. Why don't we have butter sculptors at Hope?
Actually, here might be a good idea.
Do you have large enough shield space?
We could get all of like the popular people and like all the computers that March brings, and we could do like those like sit-in live paintings that they do for like the art students. You have like, not that they should be naked, we should be naked, but like the naked model that everyone sketches. We could do that, but with like the actual hardware and some of the like Renderman and things like that.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that actually might be. I think people would be interested in that. They have a group meetup in New York that's called Dr. Sketchy's Art Studio, and it's those
Yes.
things, but it's with all like craziness and geekery. Like they have like one where it's like all the models are dressed as Roman, and they're all dressed as like Catwoman, and
I've heard of that, but I've not made it to one as yet.
And it's like a lot of wine and sketching, and it's really popular with the ladies. So
See, I'm just getting more bummed now that I can't come next year.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like with most other conventions, especially when they're not in this country. Like, where are you at CC? It's like Germany. I don't remember when Germany was part of New Jersey, but you're acting like it is because I'm not there. Because there's a giant thing in the middle called the ocean, and and I'm actually planning on doing a big tour talk next year, and
in Germany?
well, I'm going to end there. I plan on ending at the Chaos Computer Congress, which is in Germany. But,
well, if it's a tour talk, what you do is you give the talk to somebody, and they'll give it to somebody else without telling where they got it from, and that person will give it to somebody else.
You could do the Hacker Olympics, yeah.
Tour relay race.
The biggest token ring ever made.
Yes.
But hopefully, I basically get to use this as an excuse to go to a convention I've been wanting to go to forever, which is called Confidence in Krakow, Poland.
What goes on at Confidence in Krakow, Poland?
One interesting thing is that the hotel that they're in is actually, it's one of the few buildings that didn't get bombed during the war, and it's a decommissioned hotel that before they started renting out to this convention, they would use it for like if you wanted to like film a hotel scene like that's supposed to be in London, so you just go to like Poland and like discounts and they would. It's like the same way there's like diners in the United States.
So you get the UV Ball discount, or
yeah. So that they actually hold the con there. So when you go to most places in America, you're like in a hotel, but they actually own the entire hotel there because it's an abandoned hotel. Because of that, one of the games that they get to do there in the basement is called Extraction, and Deviant works on this with them.
Deviant Olum.
Yep, is you get, this is such a Polish thing. It's an Eastern European thing to do. You go into 4 teams, and you get a fax. What is that? That's the French. Here it's you give basically you form teams of 4 people, and you're given paintball guns, and basically you're doing like lock picking through. You're trying to like get into a computer, get information, and get out. And it's the entire basement. And so you're lockpicking doors, you're bypassing closed computer circuit TV systems and hacking through operating systems. But at the same time, there's other teams with paintball guns, and so you're also live firing at each other. So it's like a military kind of exercise where you're trying to do all this hacking stuff while avoid being shot at.
Wow.
Yeah, because since they own the hotel.
That's kind of badass, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what was the thing?
I want to make a super team with like me, Jack, Night Owl, and someone else.
What was the thing called? And it was I think ShmooCon. I don't know if you were there, but
I've never been to Shmoo, but I've heard stories.
But I think they maybe did it at Nauticon in Cleveland. But this person Nikki, I used to go out with for a bit.
The Who Slides?
Not Who Slides, but it was this lockpicking thing where they sat you down in a chair and handcuffed you. And then there was a story to it. Like you had to, like you were in some foreign country and they just like taken your passport away and thrown you in this jail type thing. And so you had to pick the lock on your handcuffs, get unlocked from that, get out of the chair, pick the lock on a filing cabinet to get your passport back. There was like a blow up doll that was supposed to be the guard that you had to sneak past or get past somehow.
It sounds like
and take the shirt off of it and put it on so you could escape in disguise. And it was this whole thing, and like so it used your lockpicking skills and whatnot. But
this sounds like because a lot of times Deviant Olum uses his company core group to make up BS like drills at cons. That sounds like one of those.
I think he was involved with it somehow. I may be wrong. I may be very wrong.
He did one for DEF CON 20 where it was a door frame and there's a machine with Windows 3.1 on it, and they categorize different things that you do with points. So there's like if you jailbreak the smartphone to get in, that was points. But the biggest amount of points is since the entire computer desk it's on is on wheels, which is can you take the entire machine out without powering it off which got to exhibit a skill that you rarely see, which is called hot jacking, where you
yes.
manipulate the wires so it's like you're not powering it out. And so it's watching people trying to do that and fail and succeed was also hilarious. Like,
Awesome.
Deviant tries to do that. I think my favorite thing he did was at Nauticon. They did I wanted him to do this at Hope to live stream. It's basically Connect 4 but with locks. So each team, like when they want to, each player, like when they want to put something on the grid, and he has like this ply wall with like loop hooks on it. So you place like these different colored locks on your team at different skill levels, where it's like you're trying to do that, but at any point you can try to pick another team member's lock and move it somewhere else on the grid. Because there's no keys for any of these. So if you want to move yours or anyone else after you've set it, you can lock them, and if you can pick it open, you can move it to any part of the grid. So it's an interesting like gamification of that.
Neat.
Poland's hacking scene is actually interesting. They have a big hacking and info security scene, and it's because like Russia runs on its own systems. So basically Poland is like the IT center of the rest of Eastern and Western Europe, particularly with banking. So a lot of their talks and workshops is how to circumvent people hacking banking systems, how to break credit cards and things like that. So they revolve a lot around banking. They have a bunch of fun stuff too. They did bring a martial arts trainer in once, which was hilarious because they on purpose picked like the demo person she went against. He volunteered for this.
Was it Sensei Doug?
No, this was like a woman mixed MMA fighter.
Oh.
She's also 6'3", so she was really tall. And the guy who volunteered was this like 6'5", real less thin, and was like neon reflective white, like on purpose to be like, this is amusing.
I should mention what I'm using now is actually a silver acrylic paint to paint the metal guard here that's on the floppy disk. So if you look at this at different angles, it'll reflect the light sort of in a nice metallic manner.
Have you ever tried to paint out like one of those magic eye things?
Magic eye things?
Yeah, where when you like cross your eyes at it, it turns into a 3D image.
I have not tried to paint one of those. I think most of those are sort of electronically generated, aren't they?
I heard it's possible to do, but really difficult to do.
Yeah, I imagine it must be possible and also maddening, and then you risk really freaking out people who can't see the sailboat.
Brenda?
I actually one time thought of getting Magic Eye like as an entire wallpaper, so people that would just go to like my apartment would think it's just a cool texture, like that we painted our house with, and then when they cross their eyes, it's like all these scary 3D images, just like random like sailboats and bananas, and
then they start freaking out and demanding to know what you put in their drinks.
Yes. Since I guess we're like all promoting our stuff, I could talk about details, but I don't want to hijack your channel. But the theme of the talks I'm doing, because basically a bunch of my friends, including Deviant, have been pushing me for the past 5 years to do kind of what they do, where they take a talk and they go on tour with it. And what some of them are repeats with different information, but a lot of them are themed to the different conventions I'm submitting.
Sure.
And the overall theme is World War II and how, in my research, I classify it as the first modern crypto war. And what we're going through right now is the end of the pre-stage of the second great modern crypto war, and how Crypto War 1 affected Crypto War 2, between all sorts of topics, such as the obvious one is how the Polish Cipher Bureau broke the Enigma machine, to the Navajo code talkers, to all the Russian spies in the Japanese military, how the Japanese encryption end was a joke and that kind of affects them today, and things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was World War II as an example of crypto history has always been, I think, a little underlooked, a little underappreciated. But now we got movies coming out with like the
That's actually one of the reasons.
They did the movie
Why?
about
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I did this is because I have the intimidation game, and
Mhm.
it's a well shot movie. It's
Yeah.
also a maddening movie, and part of the thing that I bring up in one of the repeat talks is how it and Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor have the same exact level of historical inaccuracies, but Pearl Harbor is critically panned, and Intimidation Game got like an Oscar and everything. And part of the answer to that is how little the actual history of the Enigma machine is taught. So everyone thinks of Alan Turing because Alan Turing did great stuff, but everyone pushes him. It's kind of like how everyone kind of talks about Edison inventing the light bulb, but they don't talk about all like the African Americans that contributed to. It's like that type of a thing, where it's like it's not that the one person didn't do anything. There was a lot of people, but they're only pushing like one person, and so that's what everyone knows. And there's a whole background history of starting from like the 60s of why is that and everything. I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about pure, particularly with the Polish stuff, pure. The thing about the Enigma machine is that it was the first cryptography thing ever that was completely broken apart and exploited using nothing but math. It was actually math and bits of social engineering, and it broke apart. Like that's how that works. So I'm actually going to go into how that math works and how a lot of modern day crypto breaking tools actually use the same math methodologies. Like all the quantum ones, it's the same calculations that they figured out with the Enigma machine.
Yeah.
Back to painting.
No, I should mention it was mentioned in the chat by Gray that the name of that challenge with the escaping and such was called the Gringo Warrior Challenge.
Yes. Okay.
Gray
yes.
remembered the name of it.
That is Deviant. He has an entire page on his website about that. Yes.
Yeah, I thought it must have been Deviant, but I was not positive. I was not positive. I was negative.
I see red. It's interesting to see how you're going to paint the AOL. Well, actually, that's an interesting question. Are you going to do the AOL logo? Like, they're not going to like sue you because you did a painting of it. Like, how does that work?
First of all, AOL has other things to worry about
yeah,
at the moment. Like, I think their main customer base of little old people that don't realize they don't need AOL to continue getting their their FiOS internet. But no, I'm not worried about it. I mean, you're allowed to. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice, but there are pretty standard coverages of like fair use when it comes to painting something from the real world. And if you want to paint the trademarked or copyrighted stuff you see on it, like logos, you basically
Andy Warhol?
Yeah. Campbell's, I think they were starting to try to. I don't know the complete history of this sort of thing. I think they were kind of thinking they might at one point try and take some kind of action, but then they ended up later embracing it and just making it part of Campbell's soup history. And they they would send Warhol, a bunch of soup, and like they ended up realizing, hey, this is maybe kind of good for us.
Yeah, like Monty Python with the spam.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
like spam with Monty
You're
Python.
supposed to do, yeah. Also, Rob's not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure if we throw like a matzo ball in any direction, we can find a bunch that might be able to clarify on them.
Gray in the chat says AOL is saying they'll charge their users who have been used to free email for like a decade. She has senior citizens in her family who have expressed their grr about it. So OMG, AOL is still out there, man.
Someone on.
Didn't they shut down the AIM chat at one point?
I think they did. Yeah.
I think maybe that's in the past now.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if AOL's current slogan is AOL, we're not Yahoo yet.
Well, Yahoo bought Tumblr, and they're kind of, I think, riding on the back of that. So,
yeah.
So it's like we're not Yahoo yet because we don't have that useful thing that you still use.
They're riding back all of the pardon your stream here, the tween girl fan fiction and gay pornography that is Tumblr.
Hey, I also have my art blog on Tumblr.
Yes.
Username Rob T Firefly, all one word.
You're one of the
.tumblr.com.
You're one of the OG Tumblrs that use Tumblr for what Tumblr is actually supposed to be used for.
Well, I got a Tumblr because I wanted to follow people who use Tumblr, but like then I looked at it and it's like it's crap for social interaction or interaction of any kind, because like to respond to something you have to repost it to your own blog, and like you're just, if it's something that you're not thrilled with, you're still reposting it and getting it further distributing it, and like it's just kind of junk. So I use it kind of one directionally at this point. On my Tumblr, I just decided to use it for One Direction.
Your One Direction fanfic.
My One Direction fanfic where I meet the band and they decide to be my best friends and take me on tour with them.
And you paint them.
Yes, I paint them and then I paint pictures of them. But I ended up using Tumblr as just a blog for art, because I like to have different purposes for all the different stupid social media crap I end up signing up for. So yeah, my Tumblr is basically my art blog, and this is kind of an object lesson right here, where you look at this disk here and it's got text on it, and it's very fine, small text that I can either go super nuts painting with like a needle or something like that, or I can kind of I can take my fine-tipped brush and just sort of evoke the text without it being actual text, sort of comic book newspaper style. And that's what I'm pretty much going to do with this. How detailed I'll be with the logo remains to be seen. But it's another thing where you're working with a smaller canvas. You've only got so much room to do stuff.
I think if you make a triangle and it doesn't look like a Triforce, you've done well.
Yeah. But man, America Online, like I remember using AOL in the 90s, back in the day.
Here's how terribly old I can get, even though you are older than me, is so after we upgraded it, we got a real PC. It's that P/S1 that my dad brought home from work, which we had to break the lock on it because it was one of those where you turn the lock key to turn the power on.
Yeah.
So we upgraded to a quote unquote real machine, and it came pre-installed Windows 95. And our first like web browser internet that wasn't terminal, we got, first of all, we had to figure out we had a modem. So we got an acoustic modem, and then later on we updated to a 22K modem. But I remember our first, for any of the New Yorkers, this like New York tri-state area, our first internet was we had Prodigy with the Prodigy web browser.
Yes.
On a disk. And that was my first web-based internet, and I shortly found the Phone Losers website after that, because that was like 94, 95 or something. Yeah,
that would have been one of their very earliest websites back then. Because like I had
one wall of text.
I liked AOL back in the day. There was a lot of, especially in the early mainstream web days, there was a lot of hate for AOL, and like the AOLers were said to be the stupid people and whatever. But having come through using BBSs and such things back in the day, AOL was basically that, but huge, which was interesting to me. Of course, it was all their proprietary software, and you couldn't do much, messing around with the actual service itself in all practical uses. But it was a different experience than just using the internet, than just using the web or just using Usenet or whatever. The fact that they included that stuff in what they were doing was kind of interesting. You could see what they were trying to do with it. But at the same time, they were selling it to the average schmo who didn't know how to behave on the net, and so AOLers got a bad name, sort of associated with themselves. But no group of people particularly enjoys being identified by their most annoying subdivision, subcontent. So whatever.
AOL, ironically enough, was kind of like pioneered a lot of like stuff that we'd be doing like with stuff in social media today.
Yeah. I'm told in the chat by this is a recording. Prodigy needs your attention. And then open curly bracket S dropped. And if you remember what that is, yes. Awesome.
That and also what do you call it? Trying to remember the name of that. Yeah, Prodigy definitely needs your attention, and it needs to breathe.
Yeah.
And it needs to a bunch of other the Prodigy songs names that I can't remember for some reason right now. Baby's got a temper. This is over.
I feel kind of bad ripping on AOL anyway, because I think I probably still technically owe them a bunch of money from back then. No, it was fun. It was funny. It was really hard to cancel your AOL service back in the day, and so you would just like let it keep going but stop paying, and that's when they would cancel it. If you just wanted to voluntarily cancel, it was really annoying. But I ended up at one point.
So basically they were Verizon.
Yeah, they were the Verizon of their day. I mean, I remember there was an AOL outage in '96, I think, and it was enough of a hassle for the general public that it like made the news. AOL has been down for like a day or a day and a half or whatever. And Steve Case, who was the CEO, like himself went like looking all haggard and apologetic on their commercials, and he's like, "We're working harder at AOL to serve you better, and we'll do better than this." And it's like, you know, I remember my favorite BBSs back in the day mysteriously going down, and it was just something that happened, and you found something else to do with yourself.
You have to go outside?
Yeah. Well, I would go outside and do things with telephone equipment, but that's beside the point. That's beside the point, and also well past any statutes of limitations. But, yeah, Grace says canceling AOL was like trying to get out of a gym membership.
I don't think anyone at AOL lost weight. Except maybe like sweating.
Yes.
Yeah, we could like do a whole old man internet thing. Like I was telling Jack, I was like, remember how you used to own like 3 different video players just in case you ran into anything on the internet? So like every like tech person had, what was it? They had what? Actually, technically it was 4 players. I had Winamp. Everyone had jailbroken Winamp, but it was like you had your real player, your Windows Media Player, and your QuickTime player.
Yeah.
Just in case you ran into anything on the internet, and then YouTube came and everything's streaming through your browser now.
Oh, and filthy QuickTime too. Like QuickTime for Windows.
Yeah.
Used to when you it never worked well, and it would also when you installed it, it would associate itself with like every file format on your computer, even ones there was no chance in hell of it ever playing. So it was like it would associate itself with like bitmaps. So when you double clicked on a bitmap image, it would try and open it in QuickTime and tell you it couldn't. But in the meantime, QuickTime had like insinuated itself into your OS as like, yeah, we use this to play everything, even the stuff it can't play. And like, why would you even do that?
And I primarily had it just for movie trailers because there was this thing where or Apple always hosted all the movie trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And Real Player like semi-worked, and even for the 90s, it was very 90s looking with its interface.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had my own personal website, I had a web version of it, and I also had a VR, a 3D model version.
Oh, VRML, yeah.
VRML, yeah, which is now technically WebGL is its successor.
Except the VRML thing, though it never took off as like a web browser replacement or a web modeling language.
Yeah.
It's still around because .wrl files, which you would create a VR world with, are now something like a file standard in the 3D printing world. If you want to print full colored stuff, a lot of people are still using WRL files. I found that out, and it was kind of like a flashback.
WRL files. As Rob dies. That was one of my rants about programming, is that like, you know, I always tell people, look, like you should if you want to particularly get into like job field, like at least even if you don't use it, know a language that most places are using. Like if like Python's big now, you should at least like understand Python. But like if you're making something, it's like whatever you feel comfortable with, it works. Because I hate how like market stuff is constantly dictating programming language. So as I describe to younger people, I've seen it from when I was a little kid, and it was like, oh, I want to make like these web pages dynamic. I should know JavaScript. And I got really good at JavaScript. And then like the millennium came, and they're like, oh, JavaScript is this useless garbage language. You need to program in Pro, which now they consider a useless garbage language.
Yeah.
Even though it technically, in my opinion, is a useless garbage language. But besides that, so it's like JavaScript was like, no one, why would you do this? We have no college courses in this. Why? And now JavaScript is back again for a lot of it is for the microcontrollers and drones and stuff. Run on JavaScript now. So I got to see it from
and a lot of the Internet of Things
yay,
things.
no, and yay. So it's like I tell people controversially, like I bet you in 10 years everyone's going to be like, oh, Python, that garbage useless language, who programs in that now? You know.
Well, you know, COBOL was a garbage useless language until they needed to fix all the Y2K guff again.
Yep.
So. But yeah, people will always find uses for things, tools that they have to hand. And I've always said, whether it's something like programming languages or hardware styles or, you know, art supplies or anything, you know, don't get caught up over saying one is better than the other, just full stop, because one is always going to be better than the other for someone. Someone out there is going to be able to get some beautiful use out of this thing that you didn't even know was possible. And then, you know,
I'm making a video game engine in Ruby right now.
And if that works for you, then, you know, more power to you. And if it doesn't work for you, I'm sure you'll find something else. But like to come out and judge you and say it's going to suck because you're using XYZ thing,
Right.
that's just shitty. But it's also just platform wars have been around since the dawn of tech.
I've always compared it. It's actually, I used to compare this when I would teach people 3D modeling, which is it's like a lot of programming, and to be good at programming, it's like learning how to drive, where each car has like a different position, the steering wheel and the pedals and stuff are in. But if you know how to operate the steering wheel, turn the ignition and the pedals, you pretty much know how to drive every vehicle. So when you get into the vehicle, you just have to remember where things are. Yeah. So it's like if you know how to do variables, logic order, loops, you know, in scripting, declaring stuff, you know how to program now. It's just what language, what type do you type in that makes that language do that. Which is why I'm glad that now in programming for young kids, and I even teach this, is they teach a logic order first, because as my roommate says, they're in a room, they all have experience, like engineers, and they're all working on like these like dynamic AI platforms. And what doesn't kill them is some major like Uber leak, like, you know, like odd, like the hack thing where like a hex was put in wrong. It's lines. This line should be in line 6 instead of line 13. So no wonder why the program's queues, because it's trying to like walk without using its feet, and it dies. And like, so it's like if you don't know logic order, you are going to fail at programming no matter how well you know what to type. So kind of like that.
A little history lesson on this particular data storage format, the little HD glyph, which you would see in the corners there. It's a high density disk. You know, they doubled the density of these things at some point. So instead of the normal 720 kilobytes, you could get double that in 1.44 megabytes on a single floppy. Who's going to use all of that? And now, I mean, this is not too far off from the size of like a small form factor SATA drive that you can bung on a laptop and have like a few terabytes.
Please tell me you're gonna paint a zip disk at one point. Those were my favorite things ever.
I like zip disks. The thing, I know Gray always had when we used to hang out a lot in the old days of technology. Gray always had zip disks around. She was using them for I think her school at the time, and it was amazing because like you could get so much data on it, and then writable optical media kind of killed that. But it's the one thing, if you're watching the movie Zoolander, that will always take me out of it. because there's such a plot point in the movie of, well, first they break open one of the old, I think, ugly gumdrop iMacs, but then they're like, it's okay, I saved it on a zip disk. It's like, yeah, there's a little product placement that reminds us that, like, oh yeah, it's the late 90s, I think, in that movie, or like 2000 or so.
It's like when you watch those movies where everyone has beepers.
Mhm.
And he's faxing everyone everything. Dude has a beeper.
Grace says in the chat she still has a lot of Mac zip disks. I thought they were amazing. She says, I'm still a little bit charmed. Yeah, there was I'm going to use the dark gray that I made for the HD over here and just trace out some of this little plastic detailing around the guard and around the labels. Oh, and also, cannot forget the helpful arrow that they would put right here to let you know which way you're supposed to put your disc in. Since that's more of an indented thing, I will use the gray on that side, and then do it in little white on this side, because that's the direction the light's coming. I don't know if you can see that quite so well on cam. A bit of the white for the groove here, because the light is coming from this direction, so this groove will shine brightly, this groove will be in shadow.
You're in the groove now.
I'm in the groove now. The Firefly's new groove.
You're the man now, dog.
Yes, yes.
I'm James Bond, and I'm totally British.
Gesundheit.
Allergies today, huh?
Let me just give this a little light shining on this edge. Video says I've started streaming 2 hours ago. I did not start streaming 2 hours ago, did I? Over an hour and a half.
Hey, don't question Google time.
Google is the Time Lord. Google will decide when you started streaming. Okay, so I want to mess with those a little bit because we're looking at it from that angle. You can use a touch of the beige over here to
I think that's a cologne.
a touch of beige.
Touch of the beige.
A touch of the beige by Calvin Klein. Just to give that whole little depth. And there we go. I think I'm about ready to call this done.
Yeah, it looks like a painting.
So I put a little bit of the dark paint over here. Finish that up. And yeah, so what remains to be done here, and I will use yellow for this, is just a bit of a signature. Maybe I want to mix a bit of white in this yellow so it shows up better. Mix a bit of yellow in this white. There. That is my signature, which contains my initials RV.
I still have that drawing that you made of mine in the Wii U with the paint program.
And we have a historic data storage format.
Something else people didn't think you'd say in the 90s.
And the bits of this that are still wet will dry reasonably quickly. I'll just leave this out somewhere in the air for, I would say in another 2-3 hours it'll be completely dry. But I'll leave it out overnight just to be sure, because these things have to survive being mailed to people.
It has to survive, WBAI listeners.
It's not WBAI it has to survive, because we send these out ourselves. It has to survive the United States Postal Service.
That's a challenge in itself. As long as I go through TSA.
I don't know, that took what, about, and there's applause going on in the chat. Thank you, thank you.
Golf clap.
Yeah, I'll take a better picture of this at some point and put it online later. But yes, one in the series of historical data storage formats. That took a while. I wonder if there's one that I can paint more quickly and just get one more painting in on this stream, because
A quickie, if you will.
a quickie. I know exactly what I could do.
The Macarena?
Nope. I am off collecting a supply or two.
Oh.
I've been asked in the chat to show off the sides and edges of this, so yeah, they're kind of, I don't know how well you can see that, but they're kind of just splotchy and green like the rest of this. It's not as intense on the edges as it is in the background here, but it, I think, contributes to it looking good on a wall. And sometimes, like, a good way of hanging these, if you've got a,
Like your OK Cupid profile.
yes, if you've got a stretch canvas like this, you know, you can go get it framed. There are places that will do you custom frames, and they're usually expensive. Or you could find or adapt something from another painting. But one thing I've done in the past is just take regular plastic push pins that you get like 100 of them for $1 at any stationery store, stick them in the wall, and just hang this on them, because the canvas itself is thick enough where it stays stable. Or, you know, regular picture hanging hooks. things like that can just go grab onto that a little. You just want to be careful that it's not going through, that it's not long enough to go through the surface of the painting and screw up the canvas from behind. But I now have I have a smaller canvas here that I'm going to unwrap, because there's something. This is going to be not one of the data storage paintings. It's going to be something else that I'm going to see if I can just knock out quickly.
This is turning into one of those unboxing videos that are popular on the YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. This is my unboxing video, you guys. I bought a thing, and I want you to see this thing that I bought.
Please subscribe. Also,
and there's a wrapper that comes with it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. This canvas is 4 inches by 4. And this one is primed with white instead of black, which will work well for what I want to get a picture of. So I'm just going to rattle around for a second, see if I can pull up some reference material.
If you're curious, the Firefly is reading. He did not have like Alzheimer's right there. I do that on the radio. People think when we pause that we forgot what we're doing. It's like, no, we're actually like looking up something on our machines.
Okay. I'm opening this image up in a new tab so I can have it to look at and still see the chat and everything from this broadcast. And I'm going to ask those of you here in the room to not mention what this picture is of, because I want it to be a surprise.
Oh.
And I'm going to ask you to not mention how nonplussed you are by this image.
I'm very triggered by the image.
All right, where is this? Okay, got that up. Got this up. I'm going to see if I can speed paint this in like less than a half hour. Pull up my screen so I can see me. My favorite subject. Let's talk about me.
See my vote.
Or Caesar Romero. Anyway, I'm going to put this back in a safe place. All right. Okay. Now this is going to call for some sketchiness. And if any of you in the chat room can guess what this is, you can post your theories.
Playing painting charades.
Yes.
I know what it is.
Don't you go cheating, Gila.
I know what it is.
Yes, yes, you do.
But I'm not saying.
Okay. You don't get the prize.
Yeah.
Oh, there's prizes? I didn't know this was that type of stream. It's like, I'm wondering, I'm getting all my subscribers in this contest, so please, like, retweet this on, like, repost this on your YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, name your firstborn child after, and you can enter in the contest.
Yeah. Please subscribe to my Patreon and my Kickstarter and my... We've had a correct guess in the chat room.
My art part.
Yes, this is the
You fangirling.
yes, okay, I'll admit it, I'm fangirling. This is the icon of This Is a Recording, which you can find on thisisarecording.com. And what's your Twitter handle?
Oh, hers.
Hers,
Yeah.
yeah. And she's asking how can I has you can has you've got my This Is a Recording is the Twitter handle. This is a recording but with no G and no spaces or dashes in between. That's how you can find her on Twitter. And you can has by contacting me privately and shooting me a mailing address.
Ooh, privately. There's 2 streams.
That's assuming that that I don't completely bollocks this up here.
A lot of detail.
Yes. But before I send this out, I'm going to put it on. I have a Twitter that I started.
Oh yeah.
I have a Twitter account, an alternate Twitter that I started a long time ago and went with for a while, called Rob Draws Your Pick. And the thing I was doing with that was I needed inspiration for stuff to draw, so I just would pick people on Twitter and draw their icons. And so this is me getting back to that after leaving it dormant for a while.
Way too late. I was so disappointed.
But this is going to be the first. Like those are all digital illustrations, so this is going to be the first one of those that actually exists
How are
in
you
the real
doing
world.
this quickly?
I think they asked that on air once when you were doing this.
And for this, I'm just using black paint and one brush so far. I'll try some more, but a little touch of water to get it more
palettes, one
blendy
brush.
over here. 2 palettes, 1 brush. Yes.
Sometimes I wonder if Rob T Firefly sees everybody as like individual lines, which is why I can paint this fast.
And This Is a Recording is asking if I still have. I once drew her portrait on the page of a telephone book, and
Oh.
I think I've still got that somewhere. And if I can find it, it will go in the mail with this. That was many years ago, but I think I know where it might be. I'm gonna switch to a finer brush so I can do some of the details.
All this hard work I'm doing.
But yes, if you would like to see the picture I'm working from, go to twitter.com/thisisrecordin, no G.
I've always wanted you to paint the mayo jar from Rocco's Modern Life.
I could paint the mayo jar from Rocco's Modern Life.
You know they're making a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the original people and the trailers. I wish my mom was alive because she loved that show. It's hilarious.
They just recently came out with that show on DVD,
Mm-hmm.
and we were in the store picking up some other stuff, and Gila actually grabbed that DVD for us, which is one of the signs that I know I'm in the right relationship. We have the complete series of Rocco's Modern Life.
I just sort of stopped dead in the middle of the store.
Yes.
I just stared.
Yeah, she
And
just
like,
stared until
Is everything all right?
So I
and
found-
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I found that it was entirely archived on Netflix because they do it at the same time the DVD releases. I had kind of the same reaction where people were like, what is he hopping up and down about? And it's like, I used to put that all the time, particularly when it was like group projects. I would like try to find people and I would say, I am the cheese, I am better than the bologna in this one.
I am the best character in the show.
This guy. The other one is turn your page, wash your hands.
Yeah, turn a page, wash your hands.
And the fact that they're gonna be making fun of like modern day trends in social media is just, oh my god.
I mean, if they're half as sharp with the new Rocko's Modern Life as they were when it was on originally, and it was just clever as all get out, then I will be fine with it. I will be okay with that.
I hope like the Alamo or something does like a big screening for that or something.
They should. They really should.
Oh, first thing I was like, the Alamo? You're gonna go to Texas for
You
this?
could do that too. That would actually more be
Yeah,
aligned
you know,
with
that
the
place
show.
with the basement where my bike is.
Yeah. That would be more aligned with the show. Just show it at the Alamo. But no, you know, it's like a bunch of drunk Rock on My Life fans now, adults. It's like some kids. It's like, it'd be fun to go to. I'm still mad that I missed the one where they showed hackers. I was stuck. working.
Yeah, I was home during that, and like we were gonna go, and then we weren't gonna go, and then it turns out someone went when, like, after they canceled, and I didn't get to. Yeah, it was a bummer.
When was this?
It's a bummer.
Not too long before Hope. It was the
Yeah.
20th anniversary, wasn't it? Yeah, it came out in '96, and
Yeah.
so it was the 20th anniversary showing. They hadn't. I think Ian Softly was there and Johnny Lee Miller.
Yeah, we were
And
like preparing for it and everything.
yeah, and I think Angelina had something else to do that day,
I was in the,
like anything at all.
Yeah, it was Kurt that.
Yeah, but then Kurt had met up with Renali Santiago, and I think she's the one who got him to drop in at Hope.
Yep.
And at the hackers party that someone had thrown.
And on the radio. Yep.
Yeah.
Just gonna waste space over
Yeah.
here. I feel like a cat. It's like a hard life.
It's a bit of an adjustment painting dark onto light again after doing light on dark. But, as long as this nice lady doesn't come out looking like she's grown a beard, I'll be fine.
I'm pretty sure that's a recording's gonna argue that the action might improve the
Yeah.
So out of all the off the hook charity ones, which was your favorite to paint?
Out of the off the charity ones?
Yeah, like from different people and machines you painted so far, which was like your favorite?
Like the various series.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't know if I've
I gotcha.
I don't know if I've got a particular favorite. Like, I love all my children, but you know, people say that, but then like every parent actually has a favorite child. And, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna shift over to adding a little white paint to do some highlights. And
My favorite is still the Mojang phone booth. Not just because I like the Mojang phone booth, but I thought that one came out really well.
oh, the Mojave phone booth.
Yeah, Mojave. Sorry. I
Yeah.
still pronounced it like a moron, so that's me.
No, it took me a minute to get what you were talking about. What I'm doing is just dabbing a little water straight onto the canvas here. Kind of smooth things out.
Dabbing.
What is dabbing? The kids these days, they're into the dabbing.
Well, the long answer for it, and this might disrupt your stream, is
There's something about the drugs.
it's you put your arms out like you're kind of like an airplane, and you put one arm out and one arm crosses your face, so it partly covers your face, mainly the lower part of your mouth underneath your nose. It's kind of like those like anime poses type of thing.
I mean, I know what the pose is, but I don't know what it's supposed to signify or why it's called dabbing.
Well, here's something that I'm shocked got popular on social media because. So this was one of those things where it was done by African American dancers in the past like 5 years,
Mhm.
and what happened was that a lot of like the spoiled kids on YouTube started to do it in like their own made music videos and stuff. So I got frustrated with it and I wrote, which is true, that the way I feel about dabbing is the only reason why dabbing is so popular is that an African American made a dance move so simple that even white people can do it.
That's fair. Actually.
Yeah.
And completely accurate.
Yeah. So, so it's like anyone can do it. And from what I understand, it's called dabbing because it's you're essentially using your arms to dab your nose in the same way, like if you had a runny nose, you would like dab it with like a tissue. So it's like, when like you sneeze into like the crux of your arm type of thing. It's like, apparently that's why it's called that.
Yeah, it's not just like, is that dabbing something off your face, like sweat off your brow or something off your nose.
Get that dirt off your shoulder.
Ship off the block. I just got flashback to one of my old bosses, and he would constantly talk about, eat this or do this, it'll grow hair on your chest. But what if I don't want to grow hair on my chest? I don't want to become Sean Connery.
Yeah, like my mom used to tell me when I was a kid and didn't want to eat whatever it was she was serving, come on, it'll put hair on your chest. And I was like, I'm a little kid, I don't want hair on my chest, I'd be a freak. And like, it didn't work on my sister either, so.
Well, also, it's kind of funny because you kind of went through puberty.
Well, which then cemented the whole freak thing.
It's like, fine skin or rusty firefly. I'm always afraid I'm going to wake up and find birds nesting in my afro.
There once was a man with a beard who said,
I actually had a
"It is
thing
just as I feared."
once where I went to like an actual like barbers that they specialize with men's haircuts, and he asked if I wanted to put like after I fade it, could I shine my hair? I'm like, sure, I'll try that. And it's like you talked about how it's all natural ingredients. I'm never gonna get that shine again because he's right. It's all natural ingredients. It comes from flower aspects. So, cue my horror running through the street back to my house when not only are bees following me, but I realize when they land on my head and like the dance pattern is they think my head's a giant flower, so they're in love with my hair. So it's like I got chased by like hungry, horny bees throughout the. So it's like I'll never get that again.
Something in a hen. 2 owls and a wren.
Yeah. Once was a man with a beard who said, "It is just as I feared. 4 owls and a hen, 2 larks and a wren have all built their nest in my beard." Yes. Or 2 larks and a hen, 4 owls and a wren.
A wren.
2 stimpies and a wren. I don't know.
You idiot.
What? Also like that, like even as a kid, I was fascinated by this old like 1950s sort of pentagonal hairdo that women had in these pictures.
I still can't believe that I was at the end of the 80s where like women thought it was like a really good idea to have these like aggressive Dragon Ball Z like shoulder pads that could like like poke your eye out or cut your skin if you walk by them the wrong way.
Yes.
I have to explain that to like future generations. And being African American, so every African American generation I can confirm has an embarrassing hairstyle. For my dad's, it was afros. In the 80s, it was the jerry curl. When skip a generation, and the one now is getting like mohawks and reverse mohawks, but it's still like the curly hair. They're not like dyeing it or straightening it; they're just getting them. But the one I could never truly explain in the 90s, and I blame Dennis Rodman for this, is that black men thought it was a good idea to just like keep their normal hair, but not only dye it blonde, but just dye the top of it blonde, like just half of it just blonde. And I still have not met someone who's had that, who could not struggle with explaining that to his kids now. Why does he look like this in his pictures when he met his mom? And it just doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, that's why I never did it.
Well, what else is childhood for if not to generate things that embarrass you to your future children?
Well, then in the 90s also had a ton of flannel because grunge was a thing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to wear flannel. And I had flannel shirts back in the 90s that I would like cut the sleeves off and have like the flannel vest thing going on. I think I just really wanted to wear vests, but you can pull it off in American high schools.
I
in
used to have a
1990s.
pair of Michael Jordans that said Jordan on the side of them. That's actually what made these people stop using that joke. I like kind of overdid it, so it killed it, and that was part of the plan.
Yeah. Just a quick shout out to anyone I went to high school with who manages to find this video. Screw you. Those are not easy times.
I hope our kids in your trailer are happy.
Yeah.
We should one day like speed time how fast you can paint on like black and white or white on black a simple like big like portrait picture. Like have like one of those like chess speed timers.
That might be cool.
Painting on speed.
Whoa.
Colors, dude, the colors.
And yes. This other brush. Let's give this a few quick highlights. So basically, the only paints I've used on this are white and black, and all the shades of gray come from blending directly on the canvas or painting over the other colors. There's another benefit of acrylics for this is it dries fast, and then you can paint thin layers over something to kind of get in between colors. And God, the amount of lacquer that women used to put in their hair to get this effect.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably varnish a picnic table with this one hair's worth of lacquer.
It's even more amazing that a lot of them smoke because my first thought is like that's just like an entire walking matchstick waiting to happen.
Yeah. I remember hearing about the women who used to work in the radium dial watch factories when they would paint like straight radioactive material onto watch faces so it would glow in the dark. And these women who worked in the factories like didn't know there was anything dangerous about it. They'd be painting their nails with it. They'd be painting their teeth with it to give each other a laugh. And of course, they all ended up getting poisoned because it's flipping radioactive material. And that's why we don't do that. Anyway, so this is not an exact photographic reproduction of the telephone lady, but I think it's a nice little evocative piece of artwork. And just in addition to the collection of a certain proprietor of a certain website from which I've derived much joy over the years, and also just an all-around cool person. And there we go. Well, like I said, for the person this is for, you can shoot me you can shoot me your mailing address, and I will get this to you. And just retrieve the other fruit of this afternoon's labors. Thanks for hanging around with me while I do this stuff. And yeah, this was my first shot at something like this, so I'm kind of glad everything seemed to work well. I somehow managed to not burn down my apartment live on cam. I'll have to do more of this sort of thing. So thank you to those who showed up. Thank you for those to those who might check out this video in the future. Check out Off the Hook Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 19 or Eastern Daylight Time rather now. Wednesday nights at 8 on 99.5 FM WBAI in the New York area, or WBAI.org everywhere, or archived back to its very inception in 1988 at 2600.com/offthehook. And if you would like a shout at getting this painting, or if you would like any of the paintings in the series, a random one, because we can't give individual ones. But if you would like one of the paintings from this series of historical data storage devices, go to robvincent.net, and there's a link there for you to click, or search for historic data storage painting on give2wbai.org. And these are very cheap. They're going for only $50, which is considerably less than I would normally charge for a painting this size, because I'm donating them to the radio station in hopes of raising some money for our nonprofit radio endeavors. So I'm happy to be told this was relaxing. It was relaxing for me too. And I grew up watching Bob Ross paint and falling asleep to his soothing voice. Or sometimes I would miss Bob Ross on television and instead catch William Alexander, who was not as relaxing. But yeah, I'll have to do more of this sort of thing. I'll see you in the future.